There's an illustration that I heard way back when I was in youth group, and it's one that's stuck with me over the years. I think about it often, and I'm pretty sure I've heard it referred to several times. It's the illustration that poses the question, are you a thermometer or a thermostat? A thermometer is a device that tells you what the temperature is in a room. It does this by changing itself to be reflective of whatever condition it's placed in. A thermostat, on the other hand, is set at a particular temperature, which then causes its surroundings to change in order to match where it's set. In other words, this question asks, do you allow the world around you to affect your behavior, or do you decide to act a certain way regardless of the situations you encounter? Another way I like to phrase this question is, are you proactive or reactive? Are you reactive in the sense that you simply act out in whatever way the situation you're facing makes you feel like acting out? Or are you proactive by deciding what kind of character you're going to display, regardless of how frustrated or upset you feel? This isn't saying that our emotions are bad or wrong in some way, but rather that you don't give control of your life over to however you feel in a particular moment. Let's use the example of having boundaries in dating. As one of my youth pastors once said, if you wait to decide your purity boundaries until you're in the back seat of a car with half your clothes off already, you're not going to make very clear judgment calls. Setting those boundaries before you're in those situations isn't pretending your feelings don't exist or not allowing yourself to feel one way or another, but simply making sure that those feelings aren't the ones controlling you. You can set those boundaries earlier on out of good character when you're thinking clearly, so that those passions and emotions are then allowed to flow freely in the proper context instead of causing us to act out in ways that we'll later regret. God made us to have emotions, and it's not good to bottle in how we feel and pretend that they don't exist. On the other hand, though, it's even more destructive to let our emotions dictate our life without any boundaries for them to operate in. This doesn't just apply to avoiding destructive behaviors, but also enables us to put good discipline into practice. Think about this. If you only acted in a reactive way by only going to work when you felt like going, how would that affect your life? You probably wouldn't feel like going into work most days and wouldn't stay at that job very long. Instead, we act proactively the night before by setting alarms to wake us up because we've decided we're going to work no matter how we feel in the morning. This is acting proactively. This principle shouldn't just be applied to things we have to do. It should also be applied to things we should do. We don't have to be loving and respectful to our spouse, but we should. We don't have to eat healthy, but we should. We don't have to go beyond the minimal requirements at our job, but we should. If we decide to be proactive in these areas instead of just reactive, we will become great influencers in the world around us. We will then set the temperature for other people to recognize and adapt to instead of changing our behavior to match our surroundings or current emotional state. It's hard work. It's easy to be a thermometer and just follow along with what everyone else is doing. It's easy to fly under the radar and just deal with things as they come our way. It's a lot more difficult to be a thermostat, to decide to treat people kindly regardless of how they treat you, to set goals for your life instead of just seeing where life takes you, to keep your emotions in check instead of just acting out of impulse. Don't let the currents of life sweep you away in the easiest direction. Instead, set the direction and goals in your life you want to work towards and proactively take the steps to reach them. If you'd like to talk to me more about this subject or you have a question you'd like me to address, you can contact me through the Sermon in the Pocket Facebook page or email me directly at sermoninthepocket@gmail.com. And if you like this program and want to support it, you can pledge a monthly support on my Patreon page. But I encourage you to share this with family and friends who you think would enjoy listening to it or benefit from it. Either way, thank you for taking the time to listen, and have a wonderful day.